Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to the StarLadder StarSeries Season 14, presented by iLeague here. My name is Blue. I'm unfortunately your only caster for this evening. But anyway, we're going into the second map here now between Denial and Enemy. Enemy currently leads the set 1-0 with a dominating performance on Inferno, a map which they've had issues with in the past, but you really gotta give them credit. They had an absolutely monstrous setup there and really came into their own and were able to shut things down. 16-3 was the final score, but here on Cash, which is going to be Denial's map pick, they are going to win out the knife round, which means they are going to get their own start here onto the CT side. Well, we'll just have to wait and see how well these two teams are able to do, as we're going to be jumping into the match here in just a couple moments as soon as the teams are readied up. And in fact, the countdown is rolling now, folks, so we'll be getting to it. Map number 3, just as a reminder too, if we do need to go over towards it, is going to be over on, I remember correctly, I think it's Mirage. In fact, yep, that is the case. So if we do need to play on map number 3, I will go to Mirage, a map which, again, we've seen in the past. I've only actually spectated Denial a couple of times, so I can't really hark from history on these guys too much. But Enemy, it's a map which, again, has been very up and down for them. But for North American teams, again, Cash is actually really going to be a good map for either of these teams. A lot of North American teams love this map. In fact, we go back to like one of the big North American lands from a couple of months ago, which was like the ESL 1 Cologne 2015 qualifiers. That was probably like the most played map there. I think it was like something crazy, like 70 or 80% of the maps played was on Cash. So North Americans love this one. We're definitely going to see, hopefully, a little bit more of a fight put up this time by the members of Denial. We can see Enemy again starting off their pistol round here, trying to make their way over inside of the A site, at least making a lot of noise in that area. Definitely not committing to it just as of yet, as the bomb is still sitting pretty carefully placed just outside of the A main entry point here. We'll move into it in a moment as soon as they're able to find themselves a way in, but Denial actually have taken the risks here. This is a fairly common strat too. They've gone for basically the retake strat here, as they put a lot of their players onto the B site. And what's going to happen is if we do see this 5-man push coming into A, I don't believe Witmer's going to really do all that much to resist it. He's basically going to fall back, make the call, and then the other 4, which are sitting either towards middle watching that or within close proximity to B, are just going to call for the rotate. They'll all group up, and they'll just go in for a big 5-on-5 retake, assuming neither team has lost anybody by that point. So this is a pretty common thing to see here. Now they will get surprised, and again, the take is going to come back in. Nobody entering through middle, of course. Everybody's coming in through A main, but that Molly's going to come out. I don't think it really connects that well. I think he undershoots it a little bit, but now the rotation comes back in, and Witmer actually trying to surprise a couple of these guys, already doing a little bit of damage here as he's able to take down Relyks. MAiNLiNE does manage to get a response back against it, though, over here on device, but now the rotations start to come in, and this is where the impact can be made. Shinobi takes out a player that was meant to surprise the members of Denial here by taking down MAiNLiNE. More coming back in here, too, but Uber, nobody's checked for him back over here in the quad area, so he's going to be able to take out 2. Drops both Witmer and Shinobi, finds a 3rd on his sick, and now trying to close out the final player here too. Fruit trying to find a way back in, but it's not going to happen. He's running too low on time. He's got the kit, but with 2 HP, we see Koosta trying to chase him down with a knife, but that's not going to happen. Uber picks up the frag. He's going to get the 4K for the pistol round and starts Enemy off strong once again here on map number 2 on Cash. And they'll be able to build their lead right from the beginning of this one too, as we immediately see the upgrades coming in for these players. An AK going over here onto Uber. In fact, 2 AKs, 3 rifles in total, and 2 SMGs to stack on top of it. No P90 buys, so it'll be MAiNLiNE and Relyks looking to get a little bit of extra cash early on, and those two are going to be leading the charge towards either of these sites. And we can see from Denial, they try to get aggressive here. They actually don't invest that much in round number 2, so they're definitely going to be trying to focus now on that 4th gun round, as they're actually going to be able to afford to do this time. They didn't really do it in the last map simply because of the necessity that they were down like 13-2. It was 14-2, or 14-2 in this current situation, so they kind of had to force up there to try and prevent the members of Enemy from getting up to the 15th point, but this time, of course, with it being at the beginning of the map, they're going to be given a lot more leisure with their buys, and will be trying to adapt their own sort of strategy here in the early rounds on the CT side. We can see again from Enemy grouping up in middle, not really committing to anything once again as of yet, so in some ways similar to that first round, but definitely a little bit more exploratory than we did see before. And the setup here on A could actually be a little bit troublesome for these guys, as although, again, they don't really have any armor, they've got some very good positions with P250s, and that can do some damage if they are able to work it correctly. But on the way in here, we see Anomaly, MAiNLiNE picking up 2. It's traded evenly back by members of Denial, though, so they'll hold it for the time being. But now Koosta opening up another opportunity. Sick, missing his chance for a headshot there in order to take down Anomaly, so he's going to be able to trade that back against him. Shinobi working his way in, dropping 1, very close to finding the 2nd. But not going to be happening there, and it leaves 2 members of Enemy alive at the end of the round. So some good damage done, bringing it down to just 2 players left, so that's going to force a decent amount of rebuys. But both of the AKs, actually no, apologies, Anomaly doesn't save his as he just goes for his quick buy here at the beginning of the round. So they only save, if I'm looking at this correctly, one rifle. I'm trying to see the buy, too, from Anomaly. He might have actually had one at the beginning, so I might be looking at that incorrectly. But they saved those 2 AKs. They're able to work with those at the very least, and we just see, again, the rebuys coming out. MAiNLiNE takes it pretty light this time. koosta's going to go for a UMP, trying to stack up that cash still, and for the rest of Denial, again, another light buy, so we'll see just how well things go as Enemy kick up the heat and take things a lot quicker this time. They're already working their way in. 3 kills to 1, as witmer does manage to find 1 frag. Very quickly after that, Uber is going to be able to take him down. And now it's just shinobi in a 1 versus 4. Nothing left that he can do, although he does get a nice little lineup there on Uber in order to stop him from doing any more. And might be able to find MAiNLiNE too if he catches him out in the open on a peek, but he's going to eat that flash right to the face. So the full blind is going to take its effect on him, and they're very slowly closing it in. He's going to get headshot there by Anomaly. The nice little 1 tap to end his life. And that will be Enemy starting things off kind of as we expected here with the buys coming in from Denial. 3-0. But this first buy from Denial should hopefully be very, very impactful. And witmer, too, this is something that, again, we didn't really get to see too much of on the first map. witmer finally going to get to work with the op a little bit here. We only saw it a couple rounds on that T side, and as we pretty much all know, Inferno is a really hard map for Ts to work that op, as you're given very limited amounts of opportunity, unless you can, say, get yourself into a post-plant scenario with it, and even then, it can be a little bit rough. But, in fact, the combat's already getting started here, and it's been crazy, bringing things down to a 3 versus 2 already, as Enemy is meeting a whole lot of trouble. And the big problem for Uber is he's stuck back over here at the brick cub as he pushes his way through. MAiNLiNE, though, wrapping out, is going to catch Sick, almost a mid-air headshot there, as he does ragdoll him a little bit, but now he's down to a 1 versus 2. Fruit has a really good position against him, but he doesn't realize that he's worked his way inside of the vents right now, and MAiNLiNE at the same time is also trying to investigate his options here. He's got to be careful with the chiming on when he breaks these vents, but Fruit's moved away. It's actually pretty safe to move into that B site right now and just go for the shutdown on it. Fruit's still trying to investigate, trying to see if he's fallen back closer over towards CT, or over towards T-spawn, I should say, to see if he's back over there, but this is not the case, and in fact, now he breaks outside of it. I'm not even sure if Fruit was close enough to hear it either, but he's going to investigate the vents, and he's going to figure this out for himself in a moment anyway. But the plant comes in, not really given a whole lot of time to relocate, but he does spot Fruit, and he gets some damage, so there's a very palatable chance for MAiNLiNE to do this. witmer comes up on top, and that's a good shutdown from MAiNLiNE as he finds witmer. Now Fruit's got to try to clutch it, and it's a very hard position to work against here. MAiNLiNE has so much cover to work with, but Fruit sneaking in. Then Molly comes down, he drops, he spots Fruit, but he can't connect on the first one, but he finds a second headshot there, takes him down, and that's a huge clutch from MAiNLiNE to keep Enemy flawless so far in this match. Way to go, MAiNLiNE. And for Denial, that's a big upset from them, as they had that one under control, it seemed, from the beginning. But now they're going to have to go back down to an eco for themselves. 5-7's being invested by shinobi, Vice. witmer goes for the deagle buy, but no armor is sitting behind basically any of these players here. Sick, the only one that's gone for armor, and he's got a CZ sitting behind his buys. He had a little bit more money than the rest of his teammates, but he's just going to try to get aggressive with it, but already being shut down by Enemy, picking up these kills left and right. Anomaly pressing forward with that AK. koosta taking a little bit of heat. He finally goes down there as he tries to find his way outside of the vents. Vice, the final player standing, was the one to pick up this kill, but once again now, left at 14 HP, no armor, no utility or anything. So it's hunting rabbits time for the members of Enemy. All they gotta do is find Vice, just drop him, get a little bit of extra cash. He's actually only got a 5-7, so it's not the biggest deal in the world if they don't kill him, but obviously with all the time they had, why not? Let's just go for the frag. They hunt him back down, and very minimal losses for Enemy once again. And the other big component, too, if we sort of, again, are just drawing evidence and facts from the previous map, is that when we take a look at Enemy, one of their big strengths was being able to stack up such a large economy. If we're going to be looking at Enemy clutching out these rounds, Denial, again, hopefully on that CT side, might be able to put up a little bit better of a fight, but if this is not the case, and we see that Enemy, specifically when we see guns into the hands of members of Denial, we see them still being able to get dropped pretty quickly by members of Enemy, then obviously Enemy's going to have as strong of an economy as they do on the T side, and that virtually makes them invincible in terms of their buying power here, is once you get to a certain point on the T side, even if you sort of exhaust your money, so long as you're getting a consistent amount of plants, you can basically buy through your losing bonus. But to start this one off, we do, by the way, see the double op setup coming in from Denial, but so far it hasn't really been used that much, and Sick with a nice molly placement is going to get forced out of his hidey hole back over there, sitting behind the sandbags, and that will pick up the first kill here for koosta. Heavy trade in terms of its damage repercussions, though, coming back over here onto koosta. He's dropped down to 7 HP because of this one, so he's probably going to have to hang back for a lot of this round. And now we can see, too, witmer looking for a way to find his way in, but Anomaly, ooh, almost getting shot there, but it's just going to miss him. And now witmer trying to work his way back over here towards middle, too, just trying to investigate a very mobile opper, as we can see, too, and we saw evidence of this, too, in the Premier playoffs, but now the combat's going to be getting started here. Vice Holding only picks up one, though, as Relyks is quick on the draw to find a trade. Witmer now sitting back over. He's going to try to find one. Does connect one, but again, there's a big mass of members of enemy there, so he's going to be very quickly dispatched there and traded out by some of these guys. Now Fruit, along with his last teammate here, is going to try to push in, but Shinobi's going to be able to catch him. Takes down Relyks. Fruit's still alive and well here, too, and Koosta at 7 HP. He really can't be a part of this battle. If he's hit once, he's a dead man. Anomaly screws up this flash. He only ends up revealing himself. This is not good, but he finds that headshot anyway. Takes down Fruit. Shinobi finds the trade, and now with 7 HP, Koosta's going to have to look for a clutch. He gets himself back over here, just trying to waste time at this point, but that peek comes out, and Koosta gets the flick, shuts out Shinobi, and again, another close one goes by the way of enemy, and it's amazing the player that clutches it out is the one that starts it off well by picking up a kill, but then sort of hides back and does nothing until he's absolutely needed. He gets onto the site and just looks for that one single shot that's needed, and Fruit, unfortunately, given very little intel as to what exactly Koosta was doing because he remained quiet for all this time. It's going to be very hard to figure that out, and we can't really blame Fruit for not doing that, but Koosta, very well played by him, and the rest of the team as well for doing the previous damage, which allowed him to get to that point. But this time, enemy trying to get aggressive in middle. Things do not start off very well, as Sick is going to be able to find 2 kills, taking down both Uber and Relyks. Both of those falling in. Sick again takes some damage, but Witmer tries to push his way in, and Koosta and Anomaly ×2 handle more kills coming out from these guys. Trying to turn this round back into their favor, but some good damage has been done, so it's going to be a rough path to do so, but now completely eliminating the B-site defenses is going to be a great start to this, and not only this, but MAiNLiNE's going to be able to get the dream plan over here. This is a perfect position. It's really hard to just work with this plan anyway, because of the fact that you get this in its current spot, and it's easily holdable by anybody inside of checkers or back over here outside of team main. So they're going to have to push. They're not going to be able to bait anyone out. MAiNLiNE, of course, playing it on the site is probably the highest risk position, but for everybody else, they can just sit here and wait, because these players are going to have to find a way onto the site to try and plant this bomb. And obviously, again, the players sitting inside of team main are not really going to be in any risky position. Denial knows this. They're now falling back. They're not even going to be attempting this retake. They want to save the guns, so they're going to let enemy pick up the 7th point now. So far, completely untraded by members of Denial. Despite a couple of good setups, they are missing that little bit of an oomph to get them over the edge and allow them to pick up that 1 point to finally get them started here. And that money starts to build now for the teaser too. When we take a look at enemy, still a little bit low on a couple of their players, most specifically Uber and Relyks, because those are the frontliners, so it's not too uncommon that we see them going down. But looking at Koosta, MAiNLiNE, and Anomaly, I believe as well, all 3 of these guys are sitting very, very well in terms of the money that they have, and they're going to have plenty left for multiple rounds to come here. And again, we'll see an aggressive push for them. Denial did go for a buy here too, so it's going to be another, hopefully a closer one here, but Denial does have to piece these rounds back together. Even when they started off well, they've got to find what's missing here to be able to throw it over the edge, and they've got to stop these enemy players from clutching out. Witmer taking a big risk with his positioning. He's trapped where he is now. It's amazing that Koosta took him that long to spot him, but he's basically going to find him there now. Shuts him out. Look at all this nade coverage that's coming back in here too. Sick is trying to find a position back over there by Quad, but he rethinks that pretty quickly, but then goes for the repeak on it. So Koosta is going to be able to find a second shot. Looking for another one as we do see Shinobi crossing, but not going to be able to find it. And the rest of the members of enemy actually holding back for now. Looks like they're going to go for a mid boost and try and open up an alternate angle, but this is a mistake as Weiss is going to be able to spot this. He only finds 1 kill though. Shinobi doing a little bit more work on site, but look at the work they're letting Koosta do. He just walks onto the site. No one to resist him back over there. They had nobody watching that angle, so both Shinobi and Fruit just get driven by Koosta. Takes him out, and now enemy 8-0. And for the members of Denial, still forcing things up as they're easily on that full losing bonus, but they can do this as long as they want to. A decent amount of utility sitting behind most of their players as well, but they just need to win around here. And that's the other unfortunate part too, is they can try to do as much economical impact as they would like, but if they win 1 round and immediately drop it, they gotta start from square one right again, and there we go. Now enemy getting a little bit over-aggressive in my opinion. Anomaly tries to just push his way through a smoke with virtually 0 coverage on that one. He's shut down very quickly by members of Denial. They do get some good damage traded back over here on Device to bring him down to 9 HP. For the rest of enemy here, they're going to have to try and turn this one around to themselves, and Witmer completely opening up a flank and getting a free out for his troubles. Great peek to find Relyks. Uber did pick up 1 from the side of enemy, but they've managed to box them back in now, and the bomb carrier, which is MAiNLiNE, is going to have to try to find basically a direct way into the B site on his own, and Uber's got his own troubles to worry about here, stuck inside. But if they don't actually sort of look for him here, and if this aggression back over on the B site does throw them off for a rotation, he could be another swing factor which could throw these guys off. And that Molly's going to come back in. MAiNLiNE tries to push, but ultimately fails. Now Uber's on his own. Witmer! He's going to miss that shot just barely in order to find the kill. And at the very least, Uber's going to be able to scavenge it up. He could try to run with it now, but he's actually going to try to hold his own ground here. And Sick will chase him down before he can get too far with that one. Shuts him out of the play. And that will finally be the first point coming onto the board here from Denial due to some aggressive pushing that wasn't really covered all that well by enemy. But as we were talking about before, of course, Enemy with no trouble at all getting themselves back into this game. And this is the big worry from Denial now too, is they've been relying on some pretty crazy plays in order to pick up kills here. Some pretty unorthodox things like that time too. They had to have, I think it was Witmer that ends up pushing through middle there and completely catches Enemy off guard as they get a little bit overzealous. But now they're going to reinforce the walls, so to speak, and make sure that that does not happen again. So when it comes to the default holds and whatnot, we've yet to see a successful performance from Denial, and that's going to be the big trouble now that we get into another round here, where they're not really going to be allowed to play things as aggressively as they did in the previous round so far, being given no opportunities to do so, nor have they actually tried to do it. Now, as we can see, though, Koosta messing up at the beginning of this one, completely missing that shot on the 6, so he is going to be able to take him down. That will be the first kill once again scored by Denial. And we can see, too, that there's one player inside of Squeaky, probably going to try to make some noise, but the bomb and the rest of Enemy still stuck here towards middle, the T side of middle, I should mention, with no other action really coming in to play as of yet here. The Enemy now, with themselves being limited down to time here, 45 seconds left, they're going to have to make a decision very soon, and it looks like it's going to be a combination mid-play along with working their way just directly into the A site. They're ready for this to some degree. They've obviously got Shinobi watching middle, so if they do go about this too loudly, they're going to hear this coming from a mile away. They know it's coming now, at least there's a presence in middle, and as soon as that Squeaky push comes back out, but Shinobi's going to try to do it early, but he doesn't pick up anything. MAiNLiNE and Relyks immediately trade out 2 more kills, and Anomaly's entry is successful too as he comes outside of Squeaky. Full A site control for the most part has been gained. They've got to deal with Vice, but again, he's only able to impact on 1 frag. Takes down MAiNLiNE, Fruit trying to rotate him, but he's too late. Now he's stuck in a 1-on-3. They may not be expecting him to come back in, but as soon as he gets loud enough, they're going to hear him coming, and Relyks back over there on highway. He's going to spot him. We do see an attempt for Fruit to respond to it, but unfortunately now he's trapped out with minimal HP, and Anomaly is going to catch the duel, shuts him out, and there is another point coming onto the board for Enemy, and the big story is now that Denial have been reset back down to square one. They can't buy, so Enemy's lead is not only just going to restore itself, but grow even stronger because of this. koosta just being mean at this point with that buy there. We'll see how well he can impact himself upon it, but for Denial, they basically force up what they can. They're going to empty out the bank here and try to see if they can hold themselves off. Shinobi does pick up 1 after Uber drops one of his own teammates, and there's going to be a peek from Fruit too. He's not having as much luck, but Shinobi doing work! Picks up 2 kills. Anomaly finally shuts him down. That brings it down to an even trade of 2 versus 2, but Witmer lining up another flank, and he could probably win versus MAiNLiNE. MAiNLiNE's only at 3 HP. Definitely not going to see a victory coming out there. And now it's just Anomaly, and he's stuck inside of the useless room. Moving out now, Sick is going to peek him. A perfect flash completely is going to blind him now as he tries to push his way out, and Sick is actually going to shut it down there. So again, the members of Enemy caught off guard there a little bit, and Denial just force up with everything they can afford to do, go for the dream play, and it works out great for them as now they can keep themselves in this game a little bit here. They get a second round on the board. It's going to be very good here too to try to empty out Enemy's bank, because this is now 2 rounds in a row where they've been brought down pretty low here, and we get to see those numbers have gone from what were huge before, multiple players sitting over 10K, now you've only got 1 player sitting with over $1,000. So for Enemy, it's going to be very rough here in these next couple of rounds, and Denial have finally started to find something that works here, but again, it's still all been through just this aggression. So Enemy are going to be able to try and watch out for this more and more as it continues to happen, but at least in terms of this round, they're getting caught off guard by it again for some reason. Enemy so far losing 2 players. There is one that's been lost on the side of Denial to Vice, but they're still holding their ground. They haven't allowed Enemy to make any impact whatsoever. Witmer's kind of going to kill himself here if he does peek out with his flash, but thankfully MAiNLiNE flashes himself there too, so it's not going to be too helpful. He finds that kill into Witmer, but the push outside here of the side of Squeaky as well is going to fail ultimately, as Shinobi's basically ready for that one. Now he's going to move his way back in. The members of Enemy will attempt to find their way towards the middle as Uber has been boosted back up. Over there through that position is going to try to do some work here. We'll also be having MAiNLiNE just trying to work the back bay hulls, make some noise over there. And I believe his teammate will regroup with them through vents as soon as they're ready for him. But there's Uber taking it nice and slow, picks up a kill and a Sick. These guys now work their way into the vents, and they're going to go for the play on the B. Fruit will have to try and hold this. He's got a good position to defend himself, but he's got to be careful if these 2 players do align against him at the same time. Uber, not sure if he spotted him as of yet, but not sure what Fruit was looking at in that case, as he's going to be caught completely off angle there. That's going to take him down, but Shinobi quick on the rotate, brings this down to a 1 versus 1. Uber won't be given a whole lot of time to recorrect his positioning here, so he's stuck on the site, but he goes for the peek, and it works out great. Takes down Shinobi, and that will be Uber, again giving Enemy another round here. And once again, restoring the balance to the +8 advantage here for Enemy. And Denial, again, they had a little bit of money to force up last time, and it's the same story once again. So they're going to try to just go for this dream play once more with a completely broken buy. Those that can afford armor have gone for it. Vice is just going to be able to pick up a scout. And only 1 rifle on the board here, too, when we look at Sick with a FAMAS. The rest of these guys just have 5.7s and P250s. So they're going to get very aggressive here, but Enemy have now started to get wary of this here, as MAiNLiNE's going to pick up the first kill at a bit of a heavy cost to his own health pull down of 4 HP once again, but they are ready for this one now. And Sick, too, with the rifle. He's been brought down low, but he opens up a flank there, finds a kill on a koosta, has to try and get a new position now as these players move back in. EnVyUs is trying to go on a long path there, too, as Sick is still holding his ground, peeks back out. Anomaly will take him back down, and these members of Enemy are getting very low, but that doesn't matter for Anomaly. He drops with Sick and shinobi here. Now going to smoke back off onto A-Main. He's actually the highest player at 80 HP right now, and EnVyUs just has that scout, so he's going to have to try and save this as the rest of his team, they're going to be rock bottom next round. And obviously, again, with the health pools being a little bit lower here on Enemy, they won't really be moving out so much to try and look for those frags. Just isn't worth it, at least in the cases of MAiNLiNE and Relyks. Anomaly may do so, but these guys are actually a little low. And we talked about before, too, that their economy is not necessarily in the best place right now from the side of Enemy, so they as well need to try and save everything they can here to try and get it back. Obviously, they got an 11-point lead, so they can afford to screw around a little bit here now, as they're looking very, very confident with still 2 more rounds left in this half. Could even pull, the repeat that we saw on the previous map, bringing things up to 13-2 potentially, but they still have to be careful, as 11-4 is still a very workable situation for Denial, especially if we see improvements on the T side compared to what we saw on the first map. Now for Enemy, again, just playing around with middle. Denial, because they are, for the most part here, going to be, again, they forced it up again. They have another rifle in play, and Shinobi is going to be boosted up. They do not expect this, I don't believe. The big thing here is that the rifles haven't been revealed as of yet either, but now Uber's going to pull through, drop Shinobi. Sick is still up with that very important rifle, and oh, Witmer! Just gets wrecked by Anomaly as he blind sprays through the door and catches him. Fruit's gonna pick up one, but again, Anomaly just doing work on this A side. It's cleared out. They wanted to make this play on B, but now they're gonna wrap it around. Fruit's actually pushing through, and they haven't noticed him as of yet, but it's the same story as well for the player inside of Checkers, as he might have seen him there, and that's actually gonna trap Fruit inside of it. So now we can see Enemy, of course, with full A side control. They're just gonna go over here and get the safe plant. And as for Fruit, he's trying to do something against koosta, picks up the headshot onto him, takes him out of the play. Now brings it into a 1 versus 3, and this is not completely impossible once again for Fruit to pull off here. MAiNLiNE and Uber are very, very low. The biggest trouble is going to be Anomaly, so he's been looking good, but there's Uber with an aggressive play that ultimately fails. Fruit, again, doesn't really get hit that hard as well, still at a very good amount of HP. As he works his way in, has to find Anomaly sitting back over there behind Quad, but if Anomaly peeks first here, you can see, nope, it's going to be MAiNLiNE that takes him out, thankfully. Nice teamwork coming out from Enemy, is going to be able to shut it back down, and Enemy once again up to 12 points here. If they pick up a 13th, it might be very, very hard indeed, and might be completely impossible, to be completely honest, for Denial to get themselves back into this game here when we get to that second half once again, and it might be a fairly quick 2-0 from Enemy, if this will be the case. And Denial, as they've been forcing up quite a few of these rounds, this one doesn't go as well as they wanted it to, so they're going to have to just force up again, and it's basically the same buy, but the only thing missing being that scout over here too. And there's koosta, some good shots on a Witmer, bringing him down to 50 HP, but Witmer's able to tap at least one there too, but as he tries to fall back, he's going to be burnt alive as his rifle shots come back in. Fruit picking up at least one over here on koosta, is now going to try to get aggressive here as he pushes his way back out, but so far not catching anything as of yet, but at the same time, nobody's caught him, so he finds one. Anomaly, very quick on that trade though, as he finds him sitting inside of Squeaky. They know he's there now, so it's going to be a little bit hard to catch players that are moving their way back in, but Uber making some progress too, so it doesn't really hurt for him to stick back around inside of this area. And again, Enemy pretty much having full control of it at this point. They even know where Shinobi is, so there's not really any point of Shinobi to keep his position a mystery. Just go out there, see what you can do, and Enemy will indeed have a repeat 13-2 have victory here, this time on their T side comparatively to their CT side back on Inferno, but still a very large lead, and unfortunately for Denial, it does not leave really any room to come back here in the second half. Might just end up being that 2-0 in the favor of the guys on Enemy. But this is, again, when you just look at the reputation between these two teams, this is not surprising as of yet. Enemy is a team that has grown very much and is probably one of the most well-grown teams when you look at a lot of the new guys that came into play with a lot of these seasons that started off. Denial is very much like Enemy when we look at them at the beginning of these seasons for all of the leagues as well. They're very much trying to establish themselves, trying to get themselves up to that higher echelon, and we can expect matches like this for some time until they come into their own as a team. But Vice is going to start it off well, and Denial are not out of this one just yet as they go for the Z split play, and it's working out great. Look at those kills coming out. No one dropping as of yet, and now it's just on Anomaly sitting back on the site. He's going to hold off one, but very quickly traded out by Vice. And Denial go for a last-minute play, and with this, they are going to be able to keep themselves in the game. For how long is still yet to be questioned, but they at the very least buy themselves some time here at the beginning of the second half. And And for Enemy, of course, they go for the usual course on this second round too, with the upgrades coming in on their pistols. Obviously caught a little bit off guard by this one. And this has been the thing that's caught Enemy, and I've talked about this a few times now, is that Enemy, the one thing that they've been weak to, when Denial have tried to play things normally on their CT side, it's definitely gone by the way of Enemy 9 times out of 10. But when they've tried to throw these more unorthodox plays at them, it's worked out great. However, Enemy looking to very quickly reestablish things here, as they are holding well onto this B site, and MAiNLiNE doing some work back over here from the headshot glitch, picking up fruit, breaking things all down to Vice. And although it was a great start from Denial, it seems that journey may be cut very, very short here if Vice is not able to pull off this 1 versus 3 clutch. He's even got to be careful of the vents there too. Nobody's coming in, but it's going to draw a lot of his attention. He gets dinked, now down to 25 HP, and Anomaly's going to roll right out and look to shut him back down. As he pushes his way through, Vice, nowhere to run. He's going to be shut down by Relyks, and an Enemy get themselves right back into it with a good play of their own. Back over here, take the risk on holding on to the B site. A huge gambit, but it plays off well. And Denial are not expecting that at all. As again, these surprise plays come in 2 times in a row, but on opposite sides of the fence, and Denial just can't afford to have that working against them, so they'll be forcing it up. They want to win this map outright. They don't want to deal with, again, 12 rounds perfectly in a row. They want to, at the very least, try to have some semblance of their comeback here, but if they let Enemy get up to 15 points, it's virtually over. And we do see, again, that Denial, one player with the AK, witmer, is going to be able to, at the very least, start things off well as he takes down Uber, and these players work their way back outside. Relyks, too, now, the only one here to hold the site, but he's doing some work, picks up 2 kills before he's eventually overwhelmed there by shinobi, who picked up 2 of his own. The rest of Enemy now trying to rotate back in. They're going to go for this play more than likely. They've got a very, very comfy cushion to work with here, just in terms of their round scores. So as they push their way in, shinobi sitting back on top. He's going to be spotted, but they can't pick up any kills on him. And that's going to be the proper fruit to peek back out. Picks up 1 just on MAiNLiNE now. He's going to find 1 kill, but again, traded back out. And that will hand the rounds right back over here towards Denial. As again, with them too having a little bit of a light buy, they had 2 AKs in place, so it wasn't necessarily the worst situation in the world, and those AKs are able to do work. They drop a couple rifles, members of Denial are able to scavenge those, so they use them very nicely, and Enemy, not necessarily secure just as of yet, but Denial still with 10 rounds to go to tie it, 12 to win it, and they can't even really let Enemy win 1 round in this current state, but thankfully it's been enough here of a trade back and forth to where Enemy is just going to say, alright, cut the bullcrap. We're just going to go for the save here. Again, we can let them get a couple points onto the board, so long as we don't let them do that well. In the gun rounds, we're still going to be in this game. So this one's going to be a bit of a run over here. As we can see, Denial taking very easy control of middle. There was an attempt to challenge it from Enemy, but of course that doesn't go very well at all. And now they're just going to walk right up onto that A site. Relyks, of course, with the pistol armor buy, going to try to line up something to try and do some economical damage. But the odds are not going to be looking too good. Because obviously it's pretty predictable if he were to retreat inside of a main here. And Fruit's already looking towards that angle right now, as you can see. So as he peeks out, Fruit handles that very well, and Denial indeed do pick up the round pretty easily, as we did expect it here. And Enemy will have to go for the double save as well. So we'll see a couple more points being brought onto the board from Denial, but this isn't really anything in terms of a comeback as of yet. We still have to wait and see how the gun rounds proceed, as this has been all uneven buys that we've seen in rounds 1. Even the one by Enemy was a little bit of a lucky play from those guys, and the fact that Denial did end up rushing the site, but Enemy trying to get aggressive again this time. Sick picks up the first kill. He is traded back out there eventually, but witmer, so kind of walking into Uber there, is going to be able to take him down. And that pop peek from MAiNLiNE, he's going to be able to come out, and he takes out Vice. Anomaly finding another one too. No rifle upgrades as of yet, and shinobi trying to line up a flank onto these guys. No armor means again that shinobi's going to win the duel in an outright trade, so that takes down MAiNLiNE. The plant coming in now, but Anomaly has also picked himself up an AK. Doesn't have any armor sitting behind it, so those duels are going to be very, very hard to work with. So he'll be shut down pretty quickly there by shinobi. And now Relyks, he's been hurt, I believe. They know he's dropped down there, and he's been spotted out too, so they're a bit of a rough start here. But they do manage to piece together another round, as Enemy are going to be heading into their gun round here. I don't think we'll see an up presence coming out from Koosta as of yet. He could go for it, but he's bought armor now, so that's not going to be happening. Just goes for the rifle upgrade, and for the rest of these guys, because he does choose this too, we're looking at a huge utility kit on basically the entire team. And for the members of Denial here as well, they've got the same thing going for themselves, just off of the necessity of their own victories here coming out from the previous couple of rounds. But with how well Enemy have been able to resist things here on their ecos, that's not really any bit of security as of yet. The fact that they have the good buys going against their opponents. Obviously looking at the score, that should sort of speak for itself, but You can see Relyks waiting inside the vents, going to try to surprise if the push does come into B, and it is going to be initially the bomb now rotating in 2, so there will be a commitment here. They've only got one player to hold it, but Relyks with a very late entry. He's wedged too, but he comes back in, opens up one side of it, now looking for the second back over here on a shinobi, but he's able to hold his own, takes down Relyks, and now they've got good control of the site here, but koosta still coming back in from heaven. It's going to be a smoke that forces him out of position. Anomaly hits everybody, or apologies, a flash hits everybody, but it doesn't affect koosta, so he's able to still pick up a kill over here onto Sick. He's brought down to 12 HP, but it's now a 3-on-1, and Shinobi's even being hit already here, too. So he's got to be very careful about the way he plays this. They've given him some room. They're going to let him get out in the open, but MAiNLiNE just spotted him. Now he's been flashed in the face. Perfectly played there by koosta on that flash. That completely kills any chance he has of clutching this one, and now enemy are sitting at match point. Denial, they're going to be able to force the buy up here, and they should be able to drop rifles for everybody, but again, now they're just one more point away from losing this set, and they've got to win 9 in a row perfectly just to tie it and take it into OT. And even in OT, things, of course, aren't going to be secured as well, as it's going to be MR3 16K if we even do get to that point, which obviously means enemy, like, economy issues and whatnot all aside, it's not going to be prevalent there with 16K starting money. So, Denial just going to go for whatever play they can make here, and, well, it's not going to be too good, unfortunately. Relyks, Uber, and koosta pick up 3 kills right at the beginning of the round with an aggressive play from middle. There's an attempt from Denial to do the same, but they are shut down. And now it's just on shinobi and witmer. Op coverage back over here. That's going to be a good shot from koosta. Witmer does press through, but he's traded out by Relyks, and that indeed is going to end our second map and this set in the favor of the guys over here on enemy. 16-6 is going to be the final map number 2 score, and 2-0 is going to be the final set score. EnemyGG will win things here for tonight, guys, and that is indeed going to conclude the stream, as this is the only match we have for you tonight. So thank you all very much for tuning in. My name is Blue. If you've enjoyed the solo cast for this evening, you can go ahead and follow me over on Twitter at BLUCSGO. Completely up to you. It'll be on the post screen as well. But that's it for us tonight, so thank you guys very much. Big shout out to all of our sponsors as well, G2A.com, eGaming Bets, and CSGO Fast, along with our partners over at FACEIT and iLeague. But I believe that that's it, guys. So thank you guys once again, and we'll catch you next time here at the StarLadder StarSeries Season 14.